Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and today we're going to be unboxing another Kingdom Death Monster expansion. This one I'm really excited about because this is the Manhunter expansion. This guy is seriously sinister as part of the Kingdom Death Monster world, and well, he likes to rip apart his victims for numerous reasons, but I'm not going to spoil anything else. But he is a fantastic addition to the Kingdom Death Monster line of figures as well as content for the game. So without further ado, let's go ahead and unbox this guy. So as normal with the Kingdom Death Monster expansions, they basically come in a typical cardboard box. It's not too fancy. They have a decal or decal on the front. I'm just going to go ahead and zoom right in so you guys can see that. So you can see his wonderful face, which looks just so kind. Again, it's mature rating, and there's going to be, it's designed in New York, and made in China, and this is Adam Poots who created this. So there's the Manhunter Kingdom Death Monster. So the one thing I will let you know before we actually unbox this thing is that I'm not going to show you guys content or spoilers within this, so similar to how I've unboxed a few of them already. I'm not going to be going through the book and showing you guys the story events and things like that, because the whole purpose of the game, along with many other games that have story elements, is I really don't want to spoil that stuff. I want you guys to discover that as you go through the game. So without further ado, let's cut into the box, because we are very familiar with this process at this point, and this is really exciting to get this edition in. So I'm just going to go ahead here, at least make a quick cut, and we're going to pull off all the wrapping for the Manhunter and see what's inside. It's been actually about a week, I think, or more since I unboxed one of the expansions for Kingdom Death, so I'm excited to see what's included in this one. So crack it open, and inside we get the wonderful packing at Peanuts that we all love so much. More of them, which I can't handle and cannot wait to throw out the second I see them. We're going to push all those aside. Now I'm hoping everything doesn't just come tumbling out, but it probably will. There it is. So there's the Manhunter deck of cards. And because this is a single unit, this one's very similar to the Slender Man. There's actually not that much in here, and to be totally honest, I think this is one of those expansions. I think I saw somebody unbox this when I was back looking at it originally, and this was one of those expansions I went, I don't know if it even needs this box. I think this box was a little bit of a waste of cardboard. Most of them are packed full of content, like the miniature size and stuff, and the sprues are huge. But this is such a, it's a single character, a very epic single character. He's a really cool mini, so he's obviously not going to take very long to put together because he's pretty small, but he's awesome looking when he's put together. But again, for the size of the box, I think they could have cut this thing in half. I think what's stopping them from doing that is the fact that the manual itself is always slotted in, all in the back. So if they were to go any smaller with the packaging, that's probably where they'd run into problems. So that's probably why, if you open this one up, you might be going, oh my goodness, there's not much content in here in terms of what you're getting. There's more packing peanuts than there is miniature, but you got all the gameplay elements here in the manual, plus this deck of cards, which always, the cards are what add a lot of depth to Kingdom Death Monster. And then the miniature, in this case, this enemy's a little bit smaller than most because he's more, well, I don't want to say he's human, but he's closely resembles a human of some crazy form. So again, I don't know his backstory too well, so I can't speak to it, but I will definitely give you guys a quick, nice little overview of the miniature and its detail. So he's got like a hat and things like that. Again, he's kind of psycho. He's all about cutting people up. So he's got lots of menacing. He's got guns as well. Kind of looks like somebody that got pulled straight out of a Western. He's got a horror Western vibe. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Shadows of Brimstone-ish kind of style. Again, detail on the miniature itself, always fantastic. So even though very small, you can see there, the detail on this guy is really cool. Like, very, very cool. So I'm gonna have fun knocking him off the sprue and putting him together because he's not that involved. It also looks like there's a couple gear elements here that I don't know if it actually are on him or not. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this to focus. But yeah, there's some swords here, things like that. So I know the guns are on him. He's obviously got a couple hats. Maybe those are things you can acquire. That's kind of the fun part of adding expansion or unboxings in general, is half the time you don't know what you're talking about until you start adding into the game and learning it. The other thing you're going to get is a deck of cards, so I will definitely show you this. Now, there are some spoilerish things potentially within these cards, so what I typically do with these unboxings is I kind of go past them quickly. If you want to see anything that's spoilerish and want to see anything, you might be able to pause it in order to read it, but my aim is not to show you content. It's more to show you the style, art, look and feel, that type of thing, because the expansions are going to enhance the game, and I don't want to spoil anything. So we've got what's here considered an eternal wall. So we got all kinds of crazy cards. And of course, again, guys, these are going to be pretty, some of them are pretty graphic too. So that's a good heads up that like they're not, it's Kingdom Death Monster, so it's pretty violent. So some of the individuals are beat up, cut up, and stuff like that. And this guy is known for doing that. So that's what's scary about him, essentially, is he's going to tear you apart limb from limb. So that's kind of what he's all about. I don't know his full backstory, but I'm really excited to read it. That's what that book is in the back here, and that's what I'm really looking forward to getting into. Again, I'm not going to read it until he actually shows up into my Kingdom Death Monster campaign, because that's a whole part of this too. You don't want to spoil the game per se by running or reading all of his content prior to actually seeing him. As you can see, some of that stuff is seriously aggressive. So, but yeah, like there's stuff in here you don't want to open up a Kingdom Death Monster expansion and just start reading the book. There's sections that are only meant to be read when you run into them, and that's part of the exploration and the excitement of encountering them during your campaign. So it's not a storybook to be read prior to playing or prior to bringing this expansion into your campaign. You want to read it once he's introduced. That's where it gets fun. That's where it gives you theme and backstory, all that good stuff. Of course, I didn't mention the base, but there's always a base with these unboxings, and they always have the symbol on the back, which I'm going to wait for this thing to focus, although it's coming through a plastic bag, but it says I love Poots, and that's referring to Adam Poots, of course. So that essentially empties out the largest component of this box. And then the last thing is, oh yes, that's right, oh, look at that. Ha, see, and you always got to be careful too with these expansions, because sometimes there's things just, I found with another one I think I unboxed, I didn't realize there was a small pack of cards in here. I think there's always gear cards in these, but sometimes there's not a ton. So sometimes they can be easily lost. So be really careful when you're going through the box that you don't just chuck it, because you might be chucking away a pack of cards you didn't even know was in there. These are not, like this pack is very thin, could easily get missed and thrown out. If you're not paying attention, that would be very sad. I'm sure they would help you out if that happened, but you don't want it to happen. Okay, so let's take a look at the gear cards. So maybe one of these will refer to that sword we saw, is my guess, because we saw a couple of swords. I don't think he carries a sword on him, but I could be wrong. So we got a reverberating lantern. So again, lanterns are one of the key things in Kingdom Death Monster without spoiling things. Essentially, lanterns are very important. Death Pack. This is probably his gun, I guess, if you take him out. His hat. There we go. So we saw on the sprue there was multiple hats, so obviously he can only wear one. So then there's other hats that we're going to be able to glue onto when we create other survivors that may or may not be armored up with the content from this individual when we kill him, if we do so. Tool belt here. He's also quite vicious. I believe I've heard people say he's a tough one. I think he's one of the tougher ones. And Hunter's Heart. So there's really not that many cards here, and all of them are labeled gear. So it's all, and they're always labeled what expansion they are, which is awesome. So it makes it really easy to categorize and organize these into the rest of the content and keep it in or out depending on if you're playing with the Manhunter, because not everything's always added when you're playing a campaign. That's one of the fun things with Kingdom Death. You can really shake it up because you're playing through a number of years, but who and which expansions you decide to add into your campaign really can change up the entire, the entire thing. And when you replay it over the next time, you may say, I don't want to use that expansion. I'm gonna swap it out for a different one. And that's really what makes it unique, is that you can almost build a story, which is really cool. And of course, some of that story you have no control over, which is even cooler. So here we go. This is the Manhunter Divider card. This will go inside of the core Kingdom Death Monster box to divide the major cards we just went through. And then we've got a gear one. So this is just specific to the Manhunter gear, and it's going to keep things organized. Again, one thing I noticed, guys, with the inside of the box, maybe this is something I'll talk about when I actually get all of the expansions and all the core content into the original box, because the original box can actually hold all of the content, I believe, from all the expansions. Once I get it all in there, I'm going to show you what I did in order to make the storage solution work, because it's a little gimmicky in that the tray is amazing. It does a great job of storing everything. I know I'm talking about something that's not here, but I just wanted to mention this because I realized this when I was putting some stuff away the other day. But essentially, if you put all your cards in, this, for instance, is the gear card divider. If it's sitting like this inside of the box, if you were to put your actual game board, like you normally do, on top of the contents inside of the box, it actually would rest on the top, I don't know, half a centimeter or so of this gear card, which can actually crush them. And it actually could crush some of the cards in the, and not crush them, but of course the weight of the game board being as big as it is, could eventually bend or, even crease or start to wear away at the tops of the cards, which no one wants, right? Especially in the game that's expensive. So really, at the end of the day, what I did to solve that problem, and I'll actually show you a visual, it's kind of silly, but I thought it was fun. I had some really crappy 6-sided dice, and I took some sticky tack. This is like literally the most amateurish solution ever. And I took some sticky tack, I put it on the bottom side of the die, and I put a die in each 4 corners of the black tray that's inside the Kingdom Death Monster box, and it gave me just enough of height, because these were kind of a little bit bigger die than normal, or dice than normal, and just enough to basically be able to put the game board on top. And I shouldn't say I just put it in 4 corners. I think I put it in 6 so that the board would be totally supported. And when I lay it down, the board on top now, it's on a full platform that's totally safe. I didn't even have to manipulate the insert at all. I've seen other people make, take the tray out and do custom stuff with it. You don't have to. You can do a really simple solution. I saw other people, I think, use wood. They use literally like a wood plank in the corners to raise it from the tray. So say that, for instance, the tray is at level with this table right here, and the cards, of course, are underneath it or inside of it. At the very top corners of those trays, they're putting these, inch tall little pieces of wood in the corner so that when they put the game board inside, it sits on top. I just use some dice. They're already thick. They're already going to give you some width as well. And if you put 6 of them in with some sticky tack, done. And better yet, because I play solo, I kept a single pip facing up to make it look even cooler. So as soon as I open up the box and take the game board out, I'm looking at 6 white dice all showing single pips at me. Makes me feel happy inside. But anyway, again, it's very amateurish, totally not fancy, but it's doable and workable without spending a ton of money. So who wants to spend a whole bunch of money on an insert when the game itself is already expensive? So anyway, I say all that to say that is a possible solution. And maybe at the very end, like I said, when I dump everything into the box and sort it, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about more so you can understand. But I think you guys get the gist of it. So this is the Manhunter Storybook, I guess you call it, or expansion rulebook. There's many different ways to probably call it. They don't even have a name on it, so I'll go ahead and name it whatever I want. This is the artwork for the guy. So this is what he looks like. Again, he's a really cool figure, and even though he's very, very small, like I showed you, he's not a big guy. He is a big guy. He's huge, but miniature-wise, in comparison to what is normal in Kingdom Death Monster, he's very small. He's not a big individual. We do have some pretty cool content over here. So this one is like the Manhunter. We've got the upgraded core. I don't mean content, but this is basically just showing you how to upgrade your core game, how to implement the Manhunter rules inside of it, what kind of things come in the box. You can double check you're not missing anything, all that good stuff. And then, of course, usually after the first page here, we get into like spoiler central. So I'm not going to get into it because there's pictures, there's art. It's also very graphic. Some of these guys are vicious. At the end of the day, this is a mature rated horror game. So some of the stuff is very violent and very aggressive, so I don't want to show it on camera. This is particularly one of those individuals that rolls down that stream. So I'm not going to show content of the pictures and artwork. Plus, it's also respect to the designers of the game, and I think it's more worthwhile for you to actually check it out when you purchase it. But one thing also, and the other reason I don't want to show you is because it's littered with story events, which is just tons of spoilers everywhere, and I'm not that type of channel. I don't like showing everything that the game has to offer besides the initial scenarios. I'm not really into showing scenarios from a game kind of halfway through or something, because I just, especially about a game that has story, because it just feels like you're kind of ruining a little bit of the experience for everybody and some of the fun of exploring it yourself. But anyway, long story short, I really hope this helped you at least understand what you get inside the Manhunter expansion. So it's very cool. We got all our divider cards here. And as I mentioned, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a storage overview of how I get all these expansions into the box once they're all done. I still have 4 big box expansions. They're this size. Grab it right here and show you on camera. They're this big. They're double the size. They're massive. This is the Dragon King. He's huge. This is one of the ones we'll be doing. This is easily double, if not triple, the width, because obviously the miniatures are massive and the amount of cards and everything that comes in it is more. And there's more like settlement cards and all that stuff. And I think we have one more small box. We have 5 total expansions to go until we're finished all of the first wave, essentially, or first version expansions, I guess, is whatever you want to call them. So that's pretty much it for the Manhunter. So thank you very much for your support. Hopefully this was useful and gives you an idea as to what to expect inside the box. As always, everyone, keep on rolling solo.